What's going on, everybody? IcyCat here, and this time we're talking about the heartbeat sensor. Why is this thing so controversial? What's good about it? What's bad? How could it be better? Let's go in depth and find out. So, for those of you that don't know, the heartbeat sensor is a device that allows you to track the position of heartbeats picked up on a certain frequency by this device. It's pretty controversial because people think of it as a cheat to being able to see through walls. Heartbeat sensors are something of a Rainbow Six staple, though. They appeared in the original Tom Clancy book that the games are based on, and they were a usable gadget in several of the previous Rainbow Six titles, so they're hardly new. The thing is, the heartbeat sensor as it is now in Siege seems a bit unbalanced. In previous games, we saw the sensor function with certain limitations that kept it properly balanced. For instance, switching between your weapon and your sensor should take several seconds, whereas in Siege, deployment is pretty short at about 2 to 2.5 seconds. This is even more relevant as a balancing factor if you need to switch back to your weapon as you're being fired upon. Being able to quickly return fire is a bit too unbalanced. It should be nearly double that, about 4 to 5 seconds to switch between guns, and you should be vulnerable while you do it. You can still move around while doing it, but you shouldn't be able to return fire for a few seconds as you put it away. It then boils down to a risk versus reward scenario. It seems like they've been trying to find balance in some other ways too. In fact, the developers have tweaked the heartbeat sensor a number of times. Their original statement was that they thought it was a little unbalanced as well and they were working on it. And to their credit, they have been. Initially, it had a range of 20 meters or so. Then they brought it down to 15, and now post-alpha, it's at 10 meters. I think this is a good range to be at. The other thing was that it was giving feedback in real time. In previous Rainbow Six games, it was more like a sonar ping that went off every 2 to 3 seconds or so. They've gone back to using the ping method and gone away from the real-time feedback, so that's good. One adjustment they made that is maybe too much is that they added rangefinder information onto the screen, but I doubt it's enough of a game changer in and of itself to really tip the balance one way or the other. The last change has to do with vision and mobility. Using a device that allows you to see through walls in a team-based adversarial game mode needs to have some pretty heavy drawbacks in order to be balanced. It would be good to see the loss of peripheral vision with the device. This is what they did in Raven Shield and could be employed here as well. Taking a cue from how they handled the motion tracker in Alien Isolation, for instance, would be a great way to handle this. In that game, when you looked at the motion tracker, the background would become all blurry as your focus was centered on the device you were holding. Seeing through the blue portion of the screen could still be clear, but outside of the edges of the screen, your peripheral vision would be blurred out. Something like this example I've created. You can see I've also introduced a little bit of extra noise to the screen image as well, so it isn't quite as clear. As far as mobility goes, it's probably okay with moving around with the device, but I think sprinting while using it should result in interference that would make it very difficult to see. Or as another possibility, maybe you just can't sprint at all when using the device as a balance. Seeing as how they've already made several adjustments to this already, most of this is just a matter of dialing it in a little bit more. Of course, the other factor of how you balance the heartbeat sensor comes from how you counter it. What options does the other team have right now for neutralizing or counteracting this device? Well, right now, not much. There's EMP grenades, and as far as I know, that's about it. The problem with EMP grenades is that they have a limited area of effect, and if the sensor isn't within that area, then it won't even affect it. Another problem is if you have two grenades, each with a limited duration of effect, you may fire them both off and not impact the sensor, and then they're gone. Whereas the sensor itself can be deployed as many times as the player likes. In other Rainbow titles, you had things like false heartbeat pucks that would trick the sensor into thinking it had a signal that didn't actually belong to a player. One way of emulating this is to allow a gadget which turns your deployable drone into a heartbeat puck. As you drive it around, you can throw off a false heartbeat. This should probably only be limited to a certain character though, as if everyone had drones with this ability, it would get too messy and render the sensor useless. Other gadgets could be devised to counter this too. Maybe some type of armor plating ability that masks the heartbeat on that character, or some kind of noise or frequency canceling device with an aimable cone of effect that would create a certain size blind spot to the heartbeat sensor wherever it was pointed. There could be other ideas too, like creating an EMP device that is more heavy duty, that affects a significantly larger area of effect for a significantly longer time, but it would take a few seconds to charge up and can only be deployed once, or something like that. There's lots of ways to counter a device like this if they decide to implement them. They've begun addressing the issues to bring the sensor itself into a better balance, and I think there's still some more minor tweaking that can be done there. But the real balancing opportunities come from a far more effective counter strategy if gadgets are made that can do so. That's what the controversy regarding the heartbeat sensor is all about, that it's too overpowered. Nerfing the device is part of that, but so is allowing the other team an effective counter tactic instead of just being mostly vulnerable to it as they are now. What are your thoughts on the heartbeat sensor? Do you like it as is, or do you think it could still use some adjustments? Do you think it should even be in Siege at all? Why or why not? Head on over to the forums or subreddit to discuss, or leave a comment below. If you like the in-depth videos, please like and subscribe to stay up to date on other topics as new ones come out. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you next time.